reflected on how
PM,
people
you
feel.
told me a year ago, days before the 2024 budget in Chogham, you said we made an absolute commitment that income tax wouldn't go up, national insurance wouldn't go up, their VAT, as in working people, wouldn't go up. I said that in the campaign, we're going to keep those promises. Will you make that commitment again today?
Well, Beth, we're going to set this out in just a few days.
You won't, will you?
Well,
you said that just a few days before the last budget.
You know
you
that
did make the commitment before the last budget.
You know that the decisions will be made and set out in full in just a few days' time.
You're not going to.
You'll be able to.
Will you make the commitment again now? You won't, will you?
You will be able to hold me to account, Beth, when those principles are set, when those decisions are set out. But
you won't rule out tax rises on working people.
The principles will be fairness. And the three things that I'm bearing down above all else is protecting our public services, the NHS, cutting our debt, which is vitally important, and dealing with the cost of living crisis. Because for most people watching this, the cost of living will be their number one issue, and that's why it needs to be the number one priority of the government.
Cost of living. You won't rule out tax rises. You won't repeat your commitment not to raise taxes on working people. Freezing tax thresholds beyond 2028.
All I've said is we will set out our plans
It's going to hurt working people, isn't it? Freezing tax thresholds.
Well, we're going to set out our plans on Wednesday. You will see them set out in full, and then you'll absolutely be rightly holding me to account for the decisions that we've made.
Your Chancellor said in last year's budget, freezing the thresholds will hurt working people. She's right, isn't she? I'm not asking you about the budget, I'm just asking you if it would hurt working people.
We are going to set out our decisions. We will have absolutely in mind that the cost of living is the number one issue for people across the country. And then we will be fully set out.
During the election, you promised not to raise taxes on working people. You put it in your manifesto.
We did.
Before the budget last year in Chogham, I asked you this. You recommitted to that. I just want to say on record now, you are not recommitting to that today, are you?
Well, it's only a matter of days now to the budget.
Okay.
We will set out our plans in that budget. I've set out what the principles are, and I can tell you, politics for me is about who do you have in your mind's eye.
It's working people, and you're going to put their taxes up.
I have in my mind's eye people who are struggling with cost of living, who can't necessarily make ends meet, and that's political. It's also personal. When I was growing up, we couldn't always make ends meet. We couldn't always pay our bills. I know what it feels like to be in your kitchen around the table wondering which bills you're not going to be able to pay this month. And so having who you have in your mind's eye is really important. That's what I've got in my mind's eye as we go into this budget.
PM, you promised to end the chaos when you were elected, but since the summer we've had winter fuel U-turn, welfare U-turn, Rayner's resignation, Mandelson's sacking, Andy Burnham's leadership drama, the Wes Street in number 10 showdown, pitch rolling in income tax rises only to U-turn. You haven't ended chaos, you are the chaos.
The Rigby-Starmer exchange reveals a prime minister trapped between past promises and present political reality. Throughout the interview, Beth Rigby presses one point with surgical precision. Will Starmer repeat his campaign commitment not to raise taxes on working people? What makes the moment so revealing is Starmer's refusal, over and over, to give a simple yes. Instead, he relies on delay tactics, insisting the budget is only days away, speaking vaguely about fairness, the NH, and the cost of living crisis, but never reaffirming the pledge he once stated loudly and clearly. Rigby systematically dismantles those evasions. She cites his manifesto, his statements before the last budget, and even the Chancellor's own warning that freezing tax thresholds will hurt working people. Each time, Starmer sidesteps the substance, offering empathy and personal anecdotes rather than direct answers. This creates a stark impression that raising taxes on working people is no longer a hypothetical he can deny, but a decision his government has already moved toward. The interview shifts gears when Rigby highlights a deeper pattern. The series of U-turns, resignations, internal dramas, and policy reversals since summer. The contrast between Starmer's original vow to end the chaos and the turbulence under his leadership becomes impossible to ignore. Her final line, "You are the chaos," lands precisely because the preceding minutes have exposed a government struggling to project coherence, discipline, or clarity. In the end, the interview is not just about taxes. It is about trust, credibility, and whether Starmer can still claim the stability he promised. Rigby's relentless questioning forces into the open what his answers try to conceal. A government preparing to break a cornerstone promise, and a prime minister visibly uneasy about admitting it.
Good evening. What do you want to get stuck into, my friend?
Well, I mean, I'm very much enjoying this Keir Starmer trying to have any sort of influence with what's happening with Andrew. It's amazing, isn't it? It is weird that normally you don't get prime ministers getting involved in these issues of royalty, but it's not an issue of royalty anymore, is it? That's the thing. Andrew isn't a prince and Keir is a sir. So in our bizarre hierarchy system over here, technically now Keir is above him, so I guess he can still get stuck into this. Yeah, it doesn't matter what Keir Starmer says. There is absolutely no way Andrew is going to do this, because it's not like he has good form in coming out well from interviews. Do you know what I mean? The old adage of never explain, never complain. I never realised how good it was, but it turns out it's the thing that they should stick to. I mean, Andrew left that interview thinking I did really well, so he could go to the Congress and think, well, I really performed well there, and absolutely ruin his reputation. And it's not like he has a salvageable reputation. It's not like he could say anything and suddenly go back to work. He's kind of spent.
Yeah. Well, I guess look, he does deny all allegations against him. And there are some viewers, Steve, Hilary, maybe you can comment on this. There are some viewers of GB News who say, look, innocent until proven guilty. They have questions about the whole Epstein scandal, and they seem to think that, Andrew has nothing really to be sorry for, or why should he come to Congress?
Well, I don't think that he's innocent.
Remember he denies everything against him.
I'm not saying he's innocent, but he hasn't been proven guilty in a court of law. Absolutely correct, but that's why I was saying it's never too late to do the decent thing. If he did come and testify, I totally agree that he isn't good in interviews, that he's not at all self-aware, that he says the wrong things. But you know what? At this juncture, he's lost his titles, he's lost his standing, he actually has lost his reputation, everything. He might be able to redeem himself just by the very fact that he tries to help.
Okay. Angelina, what do Americans really think of the monarchy these days, the British royal family? Do you still kind of really adore us? Because when I'm walking the streets of America and people know I'm British, if I'm in a supermarket, I'll say, oh, where's your milk, please? And they'll say, oh my God, are you British? And the next thing they talk about is the royal family. Do Americans love the royal family still?
They like it culturally, like they like celebrities. That's how they perceive the royal family. But the idea of bringing a monarchy into America, I mean, that goes against our basic principles. We escaped you guys, right? So that's really drilled into us and part of our culture. So to say, do they like the monarchy? Yes, they love the monarchy in a cultural sense. They're looking at fashion. They're not really looking at them for political influence.
And I would say the best quote I ever had from an American was, we have all the pomp and circumstance, but we don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, indeed. And also you've got King Trump, haven't you? So the left seem to think.
Of course, Americans love the UK accent too. Like, it's so popular here with Harry Potter. Everybody's always, there's TikToks, people faking the UK accent. Americans really, really adore it.
Yes, but the only issue is, I say water. And I suppose most Brits say water, don't they? And bath, with a strong southern accent. You say water here in America, you go into a restaurant and say, I'll just have some water, please. They say, what? What are you talking about? 5 or 6 times I have to repeat it. So eventually I have to say, some water.
Water.
So,
I've actually translated for a UK friend before. I'm like, they want water. They want water.
Remember, Angelina, we gave you the language, so behave yourself.